My name's Mr. Clinton, and this is Samantha Greninger as our guest today. And she is a student in the orthotics and prosthetics program at the University of Washington. She was also a former graduate of Yelm High School and a 2-year student in our sports medicine program. So just a quick reminder is that this is being recorded. Students will watch it as we move forward into the future. And so let's see, for an initial question, how do you feel that students can prepare for going into your field that you're in? Tell us how you got started with that career field and kind of what that opportunity looks like for you once you finish your educational program in regards to like jobs, how available they are, where you can choose to live and pay, and those things.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of questions like rapid fire there, Gary.
Yeah.
So I got into prosthetics and orthotics so I was about halfway through my undergraduate degree. I did my bachelor's degree at Eastern Washington University in exercise science. I originally wanted to go into athletic training and then realized it wasn't for me, kind of swapped gears, decided to go into prosthetics. So there, for like application process, there's this program called OCPAS that does a generalized application service the way that PT and OT does. So it allows you to fill out like one big application and you send that off to one of 13 schools in the United States. Which is super cool. I'd say like advice for anybody wanting to go into prosthetics and orthotics is get in touch with the directors for the master's programs. Like I said, there's only 13 in the US, and that's 13 that are accredited and licensed by the United States. And hammer home on that anatomy. That's what I'm struggling with the most right now. But honestly, like what I learned in Gary's classes from sports medicine is carried over so much into this. So anatomy is a big thing. And then working on like observation hours, no matter what field you're going into, I've realized like applying for master's programs, your observation hours and your volunteer experience is what's going to make you stand out as an applicant. So definitely getting those in. I'm confident that the only reason I got into UW this year was because of my experience from high school working with athletes with Gary. A lot of the other students that are in my graduating class have a lot of experience actually shadowing or having internships, but I didn't because I kind of got into the game a little bit late, kind of realized that I wanted to do prosthetics a little later than everybody else. But that actual like hands-on experience and being in a clinic is super, super helpful. Let's see. And then you asked about like potential job opportunities. Usually for prosthetics and orthotics, you can go into one of like 3 categories. So you end up working at a hospital, a specialty clinic, or a nonprofit. I personally want to work for a hospital for a couple years, pay off my student loans, and then go work for a nonprofit, just because it's so freaking cool. And then finances, I actually pulled this up. So median income for a prosthetist orthotist is $68.4 thousand a year, which I looked it up, and the 2019 average is $48,000. So above average, and then the top 20% is well above average. So there's a pretty nice income with it. And there's a lot of statistics about like the field of prosthetics is rapidly growing and just the technology is advancing. So there's a lot of room for growth in the prosthetics and orthotics division. And Yeah, and it's a medical field. Like there's always going to be job opportunities in a medical field. One thing that I would say is if you plan on living like in a super rural area, it's kind of difficult because prosthetics and orthotics clinics aren't as common as like physical therapy and stuff like that. Usually prosthetics and orthotics clinics center around more densely populated areas, so bigger cities. I think there is, when I was living in Spokane, there was only 2 clinics there, and I'm not quite sure on the west side. There's a lot in Seattle, but usually clinics gravitate towards bigger cities, bigger towns in certain states. So yeah, I'm not sure if I missed any of the questions you asked.
Well, there was a bunch of different parts to it and everything. So I guess a little bit of offshoot on it then. If you were to graduate this year, where do you think you would apply to? Do you have flexibility to apply like anywhere in the country to any bigger cities, or are you looking to only live in certain states or certain geographical regions? And do you get that flexibility with that job?
Yeah, so after graduation, we actually have to do residency. So you have to do a residency for each division if you want to be certified in each. So at this point, I think I only want to get my prosthetist certification. Orthotics are cool, but it's just not really my jam right now. So I would do a 1-year residency, take my boards, hopefully pass my boards, and then, but yeah, the residency, you can go anywhere in the United States. Like our program is super good at just the connections that we have. Like my advisors have just resources all across the US, some places in Canada to go do your residency. A lot of people get hired directly out of their residency by the clinics that they were working for, but you really can just branch out, go at wherever you want. And that's honestly my goal. I've lived in Washington my entire life, and while I love it, I think I want to try something new. So yeah, I would kind of go anywhere. I don't want to go Midwest because it's a little bit too cold for me, and California is ridiculously expensive to live. So I've crossed those off, but anywhere else is fair game.
Well, it's nice to have that kind of flexibility when you look at jobs and the places where you work. How we had talked last spring before you got into the program, and maybe you didn't know exactly what you were getting into or exactly
Yeah.
what it would take. And so now that you've been in the program, you've been going through it in some classes remotely, possibly, or online. How has your learning experience been in that program from what you expected it to be to where it is now that you're in it?
Yeah, so it has been, I wasn't quite expecting it to be a lot of like generalized question or generalized classes the way that it has been recently. Sorry if you can hear my roommates in the background. But yeah, the first couple quarters we've done like a lot of anatomy stuff, a lot of neuro, to understand like spinal cord injuries, because prosthetics end up being used a lot. Prosthetics and orthotics end up used a lot in spinal cord injuries or like conditions like cerebral palsy. So, but yeah, something that I really like about the program is each quarter that we've had so far, we've had an in-person class that we've actually been building stuff, which I really like hands-on learning, and that's why I gravitated towards prosthetics so much, is I like being able to fix problems when it's physically in front of me. So yeah, the first year has a lot of like generalized classes with anatomy and like procedures classes talking about muscle testing and evaluating like range of motion, stuff like that. And then as you progress through the quarter or through the program, the quarters progressively get more in person, more clinical rotations, more hands-on stuff.
So you had talked before about being like the youngest applicant or that was accepted in the program. And so is that still your generalized feeling? Is that you're a young person in a maybe a more in a older person's career field? Not old, but you
Mhm.
know kind of what I'm saying. Do you feel different because you're so young in that field, or do you feel like it's all one big family?
Um, a little bit of both, actually. So yeah, I did my undergrad degree, my bachelor's degree in 3 years, just because I could. So I ended up being the youngest applicant that I think that in this year for sure, and in the past couple years, I'm positive. I'm 21, and then all of my other classmates are mid mid 20s, and some of them are, I've got two that are in their 30s that previously, one of them used to work for Fish and Wildlife and then changed routes, and then one of them was a physical therapist and a chiropractor in Saudi Arabia, and now he's up here getting his prosthetics certification. So it definitely is like, I definitely do feel like a little bit inexperienced compared to everyone else, but I actually live with, so there's 11 people total in my graduating class. I live with 7 of them. So all of the girls live together in a big house in Seattle, which is so much fun and has definitely helped just study methods and being on the same page on what we're trying to understand and what we're trying to grasp. So I do feel a little bit inexperienced compared to everybody else, but the way that our cohort has been working together, especially through COVID, has been incredibly helpful for me.
So yeah, that'd be interesting having that many people in the same program. Hopefully you all get along on a everyday basis,
Mhm.
being in that program. So I guess looking back to your high school years, were there opportunities through our CTE programs? There's a lot of emphasis placed on career and technical education, trying to prepare students for the workplace and beyond, giving them skills in high school. What do you feel like were some of the best things that were provided to you through our sports medicine program in regards to what you're going through now, but more not the academic side, more the like soft skills or the communication skills or those things?
Yeah, so I have a great tie-in for that. So we actually just last quarter we did patient interactions. Like I took a casting, made a socket, made a whole prosthesis for a patient last quarter, and my um, my roommates and my professors both commented on just the way I talk to patients, which I didn't realize was like a skill that I had that was out of the norm, that it like that other people hadn't quite developed yet. And I think I really got that from the sports medicine program, and just understanding like, this is how you talk to patients, this is how you touch patients, and just being able to verbalize what is going to be happening and what patients can expect. That's something that I gained a lot from being in the sports medicine program, just having the explanation going into it of what's going to be happening was super helpful. And then yeah, I think with like competitions that I did through sports medicine really helped for like job interview style stuff. And yeah, like I feel like I'm a really confident public speaker and really confident uh, interviewer, just because of sports medicine and the exposure that I got to it while I was in high school.
See, those are all great things to hear, and it makes it easy to share those with students as to kind of here's the big picture why. Not that they're things that we grade on an everyday basis and really try to and really try to break down, but just it's those life skills that you
Mhm.
have the opportunity to get. And it's great to hear from students how that benefited them down the road. Awesome. So
Absolutely.
if let's see, what do you wish someone would have told you about the orthotics and prosthetics field that you didn't know before you got started into it? Has there been any like surprises about that field?
Um, Prosthetics are really stinking expensive, ridiculously expensive. Um, but that's really been the only like shocker for me. It's if you haven't had any exposure to prosthetics and orthotics, it's a lot of hands-on, which is right up my alley. I love it. So, but if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, you may not realize that. Like orthotics, we're working on building upper limb orthotics right now, and I spent 4 hours last Friday hammering a piece of metal trying to get it to fit a certain curvature to hold the fingers in a certain formation. So it's a lot of hands-on. And then when it comes to actually paying for it, insurance is really, really complicated. And prosthetics are really expensive. So we spend a lot of our time convincing insurance that our devices are absolutely medically necessary, and sometimes it doesn't get approved, and that's really, really sucky. But yeah.
Yeah. So as you started to get a little bit more into it, can you share like one of the coolest things that I guess that you've done or that you've seen in regards to prosthetics and how it allowed somebody to live a relatively more normal life?
Yeah, so not my patient specifically, but last quarter when we were doing when we were building upper limb prosthetics, one of the patients that came in was a double amputee. He lost both of his arms from the elbow down in some kind of work accident. And he has been fitted with a myoelectric prosthetic on one hand and then a manually operated prosthetic on the other. So the myoelectrics they work by connecting to electrical signals from your residual limb. And if like your range of motion is good, your muscle strength is good, and there's still electrical stimulus going on, then we can fit a prosthesis to pick up those electrical signals and allow you to operate this mechanical hand just by thinking about, okay, I want to flex my arm. And thinking about that sends electrical signals through the muscle and allows you to actually contract this device, which is super cool. And then we have like the manually operated ones because it's super tricky to do two myoelectrics at the same time. One, because they're super expensive, and two, like the donning and doffing of, so putting it on, taking it off, gets really complicated with the myoelectrics because they're battery operated. So if both of your arms die on you, you can't get them off. You can't do anything. But yeah, he's like 50 now, retired. He's taking care of his wife, actually. I'm not quite sure what happened with his wife, but his wife has some medical conditions, and because of his prosthetics, because he's been given, we like to refer to them as tools and like to think about them as tools. They're tools that we can give to people to help them have an increased quality of life. And so he's able to do nearly whatever he wants to do, and he has a lot more mobility, a lot more just satisfaction with his quality of life because he has arms. He has arms that he could not dream of having the functionality that he has now without them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. When I was thinking about you speaking, I was talking to some of the students, and there was a commercial on the Super Bowl. Did you
Mm-hmm.
see the commercial of the adopted swimmer?
The
with
Paralympic athlete, yeah.
yeah. Do you know much of her story or kind of, I said that you were the type of career field that would work with a person like that?
Yeah, so I don't know a whole lot about her specifically. I know that a lot of Paralympic athletes, they'll have like there was the shot where she's like in the locker room and she's got her legs sitting behind her. And so they'll have like devices, usually for athletes. They'll have two sets of devices, one set that is for normal everyday kind of thing, and then they'll have a prosthesis that's designed specifically for athletic activities. So there's actually a really cool organization. Hang on, I have it. 2 seconds. There's a really cool organization called the Challenged Athlete Foundation, or CAF, that fundraises and uses that funding to provide athletes with adaptive sports equipment because insurance won't cover it. It's not medically necessary. You don't have to have it to survive, so insurance isn't going to cover it. But there is actually quite a few organizations that use their funding and use their affiliations with different programs to give kids and give adults adaptive tools to allow them to participate in exercise, because it's like I did my entire undergraduate degree on exercise. It's so much more important than we think it is, not only for physical health but mental health, and it's just really stinking cool. And so yeah, the athlete from the commercial, I'm not quite sure if she has another like body powered prosthesis for when she swims, but it seems like she doesn't, but she just uses those body powered below the knee guy or above the knee guys for regular ambulation. But yeah, Paralympics are so stinking cool.
Awesome. Hey, so Anna joined us and we just have a couple minutes left. You can ask Sam whatever you want about sports medicine.
I'll just ask again. So, how did like your experience like with the whole sports medicine class help you in college doing like all your health classes and stuff?
Yeah, so I did sports medicine for 2 years, and it really created a great base of just my education level for anatomy and how like the human body works. Like I took a year of anatomy during my undergrad, and now I'm doing anatomy again. So this is the third time that I've been through it, but there's still more new stuff that I just keep learning, which is insane. There's so much, but sports medicine was really, really nice for giving me that good base layer of that knowledge. And then it was also really good for like I did a lot of competitions with Gary and the sports medicine program. And that was just unbelievably helpful for professionalism type stuff and being able to confidently do interviews and put together proper like presentations. And yeah.
Good to know. I'm hoping I can kind of go through it with ease during college.
Yeah. Thank you, though, for taking time to share with us on the career interview. And it's always awesome to see our previous graduates of Yelm High School go out and be successful and be able to achieve the things that they were working so hard for when they were in high school. So thank you for interviewing with us.
Yeah, absolutely.